Hello, thanks for joining me today. We are going to be making a quinoa sweet potato bowl. I've just started cutting up my sweet potatoes. You're gonna want them in, let's say, like a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch chunk. So I'm just getting that started. This is a very easy weekday friendly recipe. It's a sheet pan recipe. So literally you're just gonna throw all your ingredients onto a sheet pan, which I have right in front of me here. So as I'm cutting things, I'm just gonna toss it right on there and then bake it in the oven. And you're gonna do it at intervals. So you're gonna start by baking your sweet potato and your shallots, and then you're going to add later on chickpeas and your walnuts. And then after that's all done, you're just gonna combine it in a bowl with your cooked quinoa. I have my quinoa cooking right now. Super easy. It's just at a low simmer. I should actually check that. So it's just at a low simmer. Quinoa is so user-friendly for cooking. It's probably easier, I would say, than rice. I have for some reason, have a hard time cooking rice. So this bowl is very nourishing. It has lots of beautiful ingredients in it. Sweet potatoes are, I like to refer to them as the multivitamin of the potato family, the vegetable family even. They're full of beta carotene and vitamin K, and they are said to have excellent nourishing properties for your immune system and your gut health. So I definitely recommend, if you're choosing potatoes, try to choose sweet potatoes as often as you can. They're so, so good for you. And then, of course, the other elements in the salad are walnuts, which are excellent for your brain health. They're full of omega-3s, which we need to keep our brain healthy and active. And then you're getting lots of protein from the chickpeas and the walnuts together. I'd also want to mention that I have not peeled my sweet potato. I've just washed it well. You do not need to peel it. There's nutrients in that skin that you don't want to get rid of. So just clean it well and then chop it up. Try to make your pieces as uniform as possible. It can be a little hard because they're not shaped uniformly. So just do your best, but that will help everything cook the same so that you don't get a lot of burnt edges, that kind of thing. If you have pieces that are smaller, I would probably just toss them because they're just gonna get burnt to a black crisp in the oven while the larger pieces are cooking. So after you've chopped everything, kind of give it a look and see if anything needs to be cut to make it the same size as the other pieces. If everything looks good, we're gonna cut our shallots. If you don't have shallots, you can just use a red onion or a white onion in its place. Not to worry about that. Sometimes they can be a little bit hard to find, and shallots are just, have a little tiny bit of like a sweeter garlic flavor to them. So they're definitely nice in this dish. We're just gonna roughly chop them. Don't want them too small because again, they'll burn. We want them to stand up to the heat of the oven because they're gonna be in there for quite a while. So you're just gonna roughly chop them. So that's what we're looking at there. And then I'm just gonna cut them in half and then toss them in amongst your sweet potato. So we've got all of our veggies in and our shallots. We're just gonna drizzle with some olive oil. If you're oil free, you can leave the oil out. It's not necessary. Some salt and pepper, always. Always season your food. And then we're going to add some thyme as well, which is gonna give it a beautiful earthy flavor and smell. And then just give it a toss with your hands. Okay, so we're ready to go into the oven. We're gonna roast this for about 20 minutes. Typically I would like to roast it on parchment paper or on like a silicone mat if I have one, but I couldn't find any. So I'm roasting it right on the pan. And because of that, I'm just gonna keep a little bit of an eye on it and maybe give it a toss in 10 minutes because I don't want it to stick to the pan and burn. Okay, I'll check back in 20 minutes. Okay, so our 20 minutes is up and everything is smelling beautiful and the sweet potatoes are starting to get soft. So I have my chickpeas here. It's a can of chickpeas that I have drained into the sink and rinsed really, really well with water in a strainer. And I did that a while ago, so they are nice and dry. So we're just gonna toss that on there. And I'm gonna grab a spatula and just give it a little toss. Help the chickpeas get coated in some of the thyme and the salt and pepper. This is gonna go back in the oven. And then for our third and final round, we're gonna add the walnuts and a little bit of maple syrup and some salt. I have my syrup that I am going to put over my walnuts and get mixed in. I'm not gonna use a measuring spoon, I'm just gonna eyeball those 2 tablespoons. And let's be honest, it's never bad in this situation to err on the, on the over side. Okay, and then we're gonna add some salt as well. And give those a toss. Let's add our walnuts to our pan. Can't wait for you to make this so that you can also smell how amazing this all smells. Make sure you scrape all that maple syrup in there. Give it a really good toss. We are going to bake this for 5 more minutes and then we're done and ready to assemble. During that 5 minutes, I am going to quickly make a honey mustard salad dressing. This recipe is so versatile that you could also just make a very simple olive oil and balsamic or olive oil and white vinegar salad dressing. You could use a bottled salad dressing if you have a favorite. You can use just about anything with it. I love the honey mustard version and that's what we're gonna make. We're going to do the honey mustard like I mentioned. And it's basically a 1/4 cup of everything. A 1/4 cup of Dijon mustard. If you don't have Dijon, just feel free to use regular. A 1/4 cup of mayo, a 1/4 cup of honey, but I'm gonna use syrup because that's what I have on hand. Feel free to do the same. And a tablespoon of white vinegar. And how easy was that? Let's build our bowls. To assemble our bowls, I've got all our ingredients out here. I'm using arugula. We have our quinoa that we cooked previously, it's cooled down. Our beautiful sweet potato chickpea walnut, and our dressing. So rule of thumb in our house is half of your plate or your bowl has to be vegetable. Quinoa is a great gluten-free grain. that is full of protein. And then we've got our mix here. I'm gonna drizzle on some dressing. You cannot go wrong with this recipe. I should also mention that it's great for meal prepping. You can make all of this in advance and throw it together for lunches or have it ready to go for dinner in the fridge. I hope you enjoy.